I'm Ciliann. Welcome to my art channel. In this video, I'll show you how to draw an easy, step-by-step picture of an ear from 3 angles. Enjoy! Start outlining your ear, either from your imagination or if you're looking at a reference photo like I am. So you can copy that. Use light touch with your pencil, or use a pencil that is of the lighter strength, and go around the ear shape, outside and inside, with light pressure. If you have a dark pencil, that works great. I used a 4B, and I started with the dark parts, the parts that were in the shadow the most, the very, very darkest spots. And gradually from there, worked out a little bit lighter, but still very dark. Darkest shadow, and then coming out from there, still dark. So 4B pencil works very well for this, and it will blend very nicely later. Go around all the edges with as much pressure as you need, since if you're using a regular pencil, it will take a lot more pressure to get those areas very dark. Show the sharp outline of the ear against the head. And all the parts inside that are dark, just shade that in. Some parts are a little bit lighter, so use softer touch, or use other pencils if you have them. So we'll just fill in all the areas with different levels of shading, some darker, some a little bit lighter, and later we'll blend it all together. But in the meantime, try to look at your photo and put in as many details as you can to copy exactly where there's light, where there's dark, where there's very dark, because the ear is very bumpy and it has lots of different places for the light to strike or to hide. The very outside usually has a lot of light hitting off it because it catches the most. And focus on any bumpy parts. Every ear is unique. Notice how the earlobes are. And if you have a blending stump, it works really well for this. You simply go from the darkest areas and bring them out towards the lighter areas, sort of coloring on the lighter areas as you go. Since the pencil gives off an amount of its graphite or whatever it's made of onto the paper, the blending stump carries it over, and you can actually shade in with a blending stump areas that are not so dark, whereas if you would try to color it directly with a pencil point, it would give it a more abrupt look. Using the blending stump to first blend together the very dark areas and then sort of work the way out towards the lighter areas, that gives it a much more softer, more polished look. And of course, any parts that are actually the lightest, you can just leave those either with very little markings, or you can even take an eraser and very lightly touch it just to give that glint of light. And go around your edges again with your pencil point, just to accentuate anything that might have gotten smudged too much when you use the blending stump. If you don't have a blending stump, you could use a Q-tip for this, to clean your ear. But blending stumps are very cheap and very easy to find, so they're worth it. Now we'll start on the ears shown from looking from the front. And you look straight at a person's head, straight on. That means you would see both of these ears exactly the same, basically, since you're looking at them straight in their nose. And this is the right ear. You could do the exact opposite for the left ear if you're drawing the whole head. And once again, you start with the darkest areas first. Outline the basic shapes, which, when looking front on, there's less detail that's visible. So you can just start with your dark shapes right away and blend them together to show the whole outline of the ear. Of course, the top, inside, and the actual inner ear are the darkest parts. And you'll use whatever pencil you rubbed in there and work it outwards and color the outer areas. And look for any creases. All creases catch shadows. And sometimes you don't notice which creases look differently when they're looking at the same ear from the front, from the side, from 3/4. The same crease could look entirely different. Once again, leave any parts that you have in the light, leave them without any or with very little touch from the blending stump, and you can accentuate the light with your eraser with a very fine edge of it. If your eraser is worn out, you can simply take a razor, a knife, and cut a sharp edge. Now, as finishing touches, you can take your regular pointed pencil and go over the outline of the ear to show all the shapes that might have gotten blended too much. Now this is the third view of the ear, which is 3/4. Now it might look very similar to the side view, but it's not exactly. This is not looking at someone straight on, but looking at an angle, which is a very common way to look at somebody. If you happen to look at photographs, you might notice that you don't have so many photos of actually looking at someone exactly straight on, or the side of their head, but 3/4 is very often found. Or maybe just in real life, when you're having a conversation with someone, you might not be looking exactly at them or to the side of their head, but looking at them from this view. So it might be a little tricky because once you've done the side view, you might think it's almost exactly the same, but there are different, it's sort of stretched out in a different way. So be careful to outline, keeping that in mind. That what looked like one way in a different view looks completely different from this view. The photo that I was looking at when I drew this ear was quite shaded. It was very shadowed, the ear, hence the darkness. A lot of this ear will be very shaded, some parts darker than others. So, as usual, keep your strongest pressure for the darkest, the very, very darkest areas, and gradually lighten it if you've only got one pencil to use as you get towards the lighter areas. using your pencil on the side as opposed to on the point will give a smoother look once you start blending. And once again, use your stump and give the shadows a nice smooth look and bring out that color, and use it to color on the other areas that are not quite so dark. Ears are very interesting to look at and notice. All the different kinds of ears in the world and how they look from different angles. So I left very little highlight on this one because it was, like I said, very much shadowed. Go over again with your point just to accentuate all of the parts that want to be special. And if any part needs highlight, don't forget looking at the ear from different angles. You'll have highlights in different places. Hope you've enjoyed all my ears. And there we go. Listen well. Thanks for watching.